Welcome back to Exquisitely Aligned. I'm Gina Meyer-Vincent, the host and your master motivator, here to help you define and design your most magnificent future, the one where essentially you become exactly what the world is missing. And today, my guest has done exactly that. I'm excited to bring you Sergio L. Yang. With his family's influence and guided by a lifelong practice of classical Feng Shui, Taoism, Buddhism, Confucianism, and Chinese metaphysics, Sergio has been helping his clients, which I have been one of them, with his knowledge of the ancient practices in commercial and residential space Feng Shui. Sergio is using the tools of classical Feng Shui to find harmonious balance between spirituality and modern practicality. And I forgot to say, but you'll find it in his show notes, he is the owner of Luminous Feng Shui. So welcome, Sergio. I'm so happy to have you with me today.
Hi, Gina. Thank you for having me.
So, Sergio, when you came to my house to help me with my needs, I learned a little bit, and also on your website, a little bit about your journey. I was wondering if you can share for us how this all began, because I know some of us don't find our passion and purpose until a little bit later in life. Some people start at a very young age. I know I've changed careers over the years, and they all come together now. I use almost every single job I ever had. I use some kind of skill from. But if you can share with us your journey, because I know I found it very intriguing, and I don't know all of it yet.
I think each one of us, we have different type of journey, as we know, and it's all about the path that we take, what we are expected to do since we were a little kid, and what we see ourselves doing, and also what are the possibilities out there, But I think most importantly is what allow us to do. And when I'm saying what allow us to do, to me, this is really crucial. I think in some way, not having kids really allow me to have flexibility to really branch out and experiment, because I think if I have kids, I will have the responsibility of, I need to look after somebody else, and I need to raise the kids. Then I might have the financial burden to not have the
flexibility
to branch out, to experiment. Because a lot of time when we experiment with our life, we did it at younger age before we settle down. And I think I do it in a bit of a reverse way. And come to think of it, it's because I made a choice of not having kids. So to me, that's definitely comparing to my my friends who ended up taking the conventional route of having kids. They may not have that type of flexibility. But life is really interesting. It's all depending on the life path that we take. And some people, if they may have the interest in doing other things, but they may not have the willingness, or the desire to
follow
through, or less, less daring,
right?
To take the risk.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. And have the courage, I mean, I think that's very true. And then sometimes I think even family or friends, or I've had some guests on the show who have told me, my school teacher told me, you'll never, be something, or you'll never amount to something, which I don't think the teachers are allowed to speak like that today. But I know when I was little, that kind of happened. And, so yeah, that's very true. And you bring up a great point about, obviously you have responsibilities, right? We all do, but not having the responsibility of a child or 6 kids gives you a little freedom. And then I think your courage and your wonderful imagination and desire helps support that as well.
Yeah. And recently I was watching TV and I came across a commercial, and the commercial actually, one of the commercial actors happened to be an old friend of mine. I haven't talked to this friend for many years, but I know he, when we used to hang out, he was not an actor. And now maybe he's in his late 50s, early 60s. maybe he realized, hey, he needs to follow through with his passion. And I never knew he wanted to be an actor. So seeing that, it's really refreshing seeing somebody who, and I think maybe he's more comfortable in his own skin. We can change our life path if we want to, and if the environment allow us to, in a way that that we have less burden. Less responsibility, basically.
Yeah, and it's. I love that you mentioned that, because that very much is who I attract, are people who do want to change their life path. And usually they're on a pretty good life path. People look at them and go, wow, you're so lucky. What do you want to change? But when we have a desire that's written on our heart, it's really important, in my opinion, and I think you would agree, to follow that and try it and explore and experiment. And the biggest thing I like to explain to people is, you don't have to get it right. You're no longer in school where someone's going to reprimand you or you're looking for a grade. It's more about just feeling into it and seeing and exploring. And I love that story about seeing your friend as now an actor, right? How shocking. I wish I was there with you watching that show to see, wow, But we are so fortunate or blessed to be living in a world where we can, follow our life path and make these choices, that we have these opportunities.
Absolutely. And I really think that this is what it's all about, living in this country, is that there are, abundance of opportunity that we can take, and I think changing career path, it doesn't have to be something glamorous.
Right.
It doesn't have to be something, to me, I was having a conversation with my other friends, who are doctors, and they are, they have this high, important job in the corporate world. And we were just talking like, hey, a lot of time when we change career path, okay, it has to do with that, hey, we no longer want to be part of certain having certain part of lifestyle. I'm sure you can imagine that when someone who has a really important job, a really important glamorous job, they may not have the kind of lifestyle that they really want. Mm-hmm. They might have to devote their life to that job 24/7, to make that kind of money. Yeah. But at the same time, when people, they could possibly face, encounter burnout, they may not want to have such responsibility anymore. Mm-hmm. And I remember hearing, that was something a while back, a friend of mine he was working as a chief operating officer at some big company in the East Coast. And he was telling me that, he was so tired of it, he's going to apply a job at Costco.
Yeah. Right.
And, time, but I now think about it, there's nothing wrong with that. I actually think it's so courageous, because if you think about, because he was telling me that, hey, Costco offers great benefit. It has a great, healthy employee culture. So when we look through the whole requirement of why we continue work, instead of just sitting at home doing nothing, even if somebody retire, it actually keep ourselves sharp and give us some sense of purpose. And if that makes me happy, there's nothing wrong with that. And I even thought of it myself, hey, what if someday I started working for Costco, and do I enjoy that? Am I enjoy that environment? And I remember I even went through the website, and I realized, oh my God, they actually offer amazing employee benefit. And I'm like, okay, that's not a bad thing. Maybe someday, when I'm at that route, I might do something that appear to be mundane to other people, but it is not. It's actually just very satisfying, And I remember having a conversation with a Costco employee. He's been there since after he graduated high school, and he's been there for 35 years. Yeah, and he's really fulfilled working at that particular job. And I think it's all about self-fulfillment.
Yes, absolutely.
It's not about how glamorous your job, make you look. It's about our self-fulfillment. Are we happy? Are we satisfied? And in this particular job, it would give us not just spiritual fulfillment, but also financial fulfillment and also practicality. To me, that's really important.
Right. Yeah, I love that. And I do think that sometimes we get to a point in life or something happens, there's a change, usually, whether it be
Mm-hmm.
in a relationship, in our health, in something for our children, who knows, where we kind of stop and take inventory. Is this really what I want? Do I really want to be working X amount of hours a week and not being with my family or not being able to see friends? And I think you're right. I think sometimes we go down a path for a career that maybe looks glamorous, advantageous, promising as far as financials. But then in the end, are we fulfilled? And sometimes I know when I left, my background is I was in the fashion industry and I loved every minute of it, but it was a very, very negative environment, backstabbing, very uncomfortable, very unhealthy. I had knots in my stomach. I wasn't sleeping. I was young. I think I was 27. I owned a little condo. I had a cat and a rabbit. And I was like a bundle of nerves. And the money wasn't even great. It's not like I was working on Wall Street, but the stress felt like I was. And I remember leaving and other people saying to me, "Oh, get me a job, get me out of here." And I thought to myself, you've been here longer than I. How could you stay? Like, I just, after a few years, I just felt like I was always on edge, because you never knew when the next, thing was bomb was going to go off. And I realized at that young age, like, this is not really what I signed up for, So tell us, Sergio, I know that you are fabulous at what you do, but do tell us, how did you transition? Because I know this is not where you started your career.
Yeah, I always have my own business. Even since I was in my younger age, I own my coffee shops, and I have my own catering company, and I become. It all has to do with I have that kind of like entrepreneur mentality. I also ended up working for a company as well, but at the same time, it's about that same thing. What really fulfill in terms of what do I enjoy doing at the end? Do I like to work for myself? Do I want to work for somebody else? And what's possible? What is my environment allow me to do? And I think that's it's something that I think taking the path, experimenting with new career path, it was not easy.
No, it never is.
But it required a lot of determination and learning new skills, and try to learn new skills. To also, I think it's really important before anyone jump into the new career, knowing, okay, what might be there. If somebody decides to become an actor, of course, they need to take acting lessons and things like that. I think what we want to do versus practicality, it needs to have that nice balance to it. It can't just be like, all based on practicality or based on what we want to do. They need to have certain balance in between. Otherwise, the chance of succeeding in changing the career path may not be great. If a certain person doesn't do the research, or learn the path of how to succeed in the future career path.
Yeah. And so how did you come to do what you do now as a Feng Shui master?
It's more like a family practice, even though my dad, he wasn't a Feng Shui practitioner, he had his own company. So I think that relates to the entrepreneur mentality, that I have. But at the same time, for some reason, that wasn't anything I thought I could do it, to make a living. It was something more like, more like a hobby, basically. But when I realized that, hey, this is something that people can do, because there are Feng Shui masters out there, Feng Shui practitioners who have been making living for for years. That's why Feng Shui still exists,
Right.
But the key thing is, how to, because of my upbringing, okay? And doesn't matter where we go, it doesn't matter if it's in America or in Asia, okay? There are always people who are not genuine or authentic in terms of with their practice. And especially in this country, I noticed there are a lot of misconceptions with Feng Shui, or what Feng Shui is, okay? And I think that I remember when I decided to start practicing Feng Shui, I actually told myself that I want to do it authentically. I don't want to do it to cater to the misconception of the mainstream.
Yes.
I want to do it authentic. No, I don't want to do it just what quote unquote people are comfortable with.
Yeah.
That's not the point. The point is not about if someone's comfortable with it or not.
Right.
I remember I had a conversation with somebody who is in their late 20s or early 30s. I realized she was interested in Feng Shui. And I remember talking to her about Feng Shui, and then she told me that she is only comfortable in practicing the mild version of Feng Shui.
Yeah, like the watered down version.
Yeah, which is what is popular in the social media nowadays.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, that's why she told me that she's comfortable. She's only comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but at the same time, it's the concept of being comfortable is not the key, because I think, because we overemphasize of being comfortable.
Right.
If you always want to be comfortable, then we would not be able to make the change to improve ourselves.
Right. That's a big one. So let's say that one more time, because I think if there's only one thing somebody hears you say today that can change their life forever, it's this sentence here. I mean, multiple things that you've said, because I'm writing notes as you speak, because I always love speaking with you. You're a wealth of information, like a fountain overflowing with info. But being comfortable, being comfortable is not, and I didn't finish writing it, but how did you say it, to the effect of being comfortable is not the goal, I think you said, or something to that. Because when we are comfortable, and I think we live in a society, I'll say especially here in America, I mean, I think this happens around the world, but where we are always trying to put people to become comfortable. And as a retired yoga instructor, I remember learning that, when you are a parent and you're trying to protect your child all the time, you're doing them a disservice. And that you're causing harm, because sometimes they have to fall, they have to trip, they have to make a bad decision, a bad choice, for them to have the experience to learn from the discomfort, to make a change, a shift, or to have a revelation where they step into whatever it is. It could be a career path, And I remember learning that, Sergio, and thinking, what? At first, like, that goes against the grain, but then if you can take a step back and see it from above, you can see how those things are important, right? Being comfortable is not really the goal.
No, it's not. That's why I think, the modern society emphasizes so much on being comfortable, or someone who is only comfortable with certain ideology, it's so overrated. We shouldn't feel that way.
I like that. Yeah, overrated. I love that.
We shouldn't limit ourselves just being comfortable. Obviously, when we starting a new career path, we have different kind of experience. And I remember one of my returning clients, she was a famous Hollywood screenwriter. I have worked with her a couple of times before. I ended up firing her because I felt she just wanted to be comfortable.
Yeah.
She bought a house and she was really excited to have me over. And I actually was honest with what I saw with her house. And she was so offended.
Yeah.
And she wanted me to just give her the so-called vanity feng shui. Put crystal here, yada, yada. And I was like, hey, feng shui doesn't work that way. It's not just about putting crystal here and there or fish. It's about different layers of energy we have to look at, assess the big picture, you know. Long story short, she got so mad at me. I was like, hey, you know what? I would refund her money, and let's not talk to each other ever again. Because you know, because I did not want to be disrespectful to myself and to my practice. Right. To me, that's really crucial.
Yeah.
I have many social media marketing specialists approach me and ask me to post different social media content, like some other Feng Shui practitioners out there. And I told them that's something that the thing that they do is not something I want to do, because they are creating a lot of misconception of what Feng Shui truly is. You know, unless I find a way that I can be truly authentic over social media, otherwise I'd rather not to do it instead of creating more confusion. Yeah.
No, I love that. And I mean, that's a big, I think that's, you know, when I met you, so I'm going to share this story very quickly, but I was in my car waiting for one of my kids as I was picking them up from something. And I thought, you know, I never had a Feng Shui master come walk through my house and assist. I've done things myself to help bring the energy to where I felt comfortable. But I really feel like this is a good home for us. I just want to get it tweaked a little more. And so I found your website, and I just immediately, it's very clean and crisp, and loved your story. And so I filled out the Connect form. And I figured it was going to be the same situation as most times. You know, you wait 3, 4, 5 days and you might get an email. But instead, I have to tell you, Sergio called me like within minutes. And the minute I heard your voice, and knowing that you saw and heard me in a way that you would pick up the phone, I just felt very, very connected to you. And I think that just what you said now about being authentic, being respectful to yourself, respectful to the practice, respecting the other person too. Like, it's okay that she sees the practice differently than you, but at the same time, you can't water it down. You should not. And I think that I just want to go off for a second, Sergio, that everything you just said applies to each and every one of us, no matter what field we're in. It's not only about Feng Shui, but if we could take away the fact that we need to know when to cut our losses, like you did, give her the money back, say, hey, thank you, no thank you. I am going to continue to honor myself, my gifts, my practice, and Feng Shui in its whole, and in its centuries of being, you know what I mean? So I love that. I think that more of us need to honor ourselves and our mission the way you did, because sometimes, sure, the money could be good. You said she was a high achieving, high earning person. I'm imagining her house was probably multiple times the size of my home, which is big enough for us. I'm not complaining about the size of my home. Although when I'm vacuuming, I am complaining. It's a little too much dog fur to pick up. But you know, I love that you said that and that you honor. So can you tell us, Sergio, like your favorite parts of Feng Shui? I know for me, as an energy sensitive person, I just like when the house and my office and my bedroom and all those little rooms in the house align with and support me energetically. It feels good.
My favorite thing about Feng Shui is about having understanding of our environment. This is why I think it's important. Hopefully you can help me spread this word. When we look at the social media of Feng Shui, different Feng Shui social media, right? A lot of people use fear-mongering tactic, all those influencers. And not just with Feng Shui, even with food. You know, there's social media, influencers when they talk about food, what to eat, what not to eat, what to do, what not to do. there is a lot of fear-mongering tactic behind it. And especially when it comes to Feng Shui, that's not how it should be. Feng Shui is not about making somebody afraid of their own space, thinking that they are doomed living in their house, that something's wrong there with that house. Just because they may not be going through the most smooth journey at that particular point in their life, they instantly blame on something else right away without realizing, oh, hey, maybe there's some other factor out there. Maybe, it's not just one factor that triggering this particular journey. And I remember when I went to your house, and first of all, you have a beautiful, beautiful house. I think it's beautiful, great view. Okay.
Thank you.
Nicely set up. And you mentioned a few problematic area. And I remember I was telling you that, hey, on book, those things that you pointed out, they may be problematic by book, okay? But in practicality, in real life, okay, they are not.
And I loved that you were so honest about that. You know what I mean? I love that you took the time to explain to me. And let me share with the audience one of the things that I had read many, many years ago, and this happened in another house we owned, that you can run, like if I let my kids when they were younger or my puppy, I could open the front door and the pup can run all the way through the house out the back door because it's a straight line. And I know that I read that can lose energy, possibly even money. And I had told you when you were here, Sergio, that I purposefully put that round. I found this cool table that I always loved, that I finally had a purpose for buying, and put a vase that I loved that I bought years earlier before I knew I'd live in California, and fresh flowers. And I said, would this break it up? And then you had the ability to stop and take a moment and say, hey, the front door to the back door, there's enough distance. I remember you saying, and explain some other things. And, that really makes it put me immediately at ease. It made me like you even more because you didn't say, oh, yeah, this house is horrible. We need to spend $10,000 and correct this situation and close up one of the doors, and move the other door. And I love that you're able to help people like myself bring that practicality into our home and into our practice so we can feel healthy and vibrant every day and supported by our home.
Yeah. And, I think that's so crucial that we need to enjoy our surrounding. First of all, imagine it doesn't matter you rent or you buy.
Right.
You spend all this money at this particular space and you ended up having certain negative feeling about it. And to me, that's not worth it. Why not just be realistic about it and understand the relationship of Feng Shui? It's not just single layer. There are multiple layers of Feng Shui that is involved in terms of assessing a space, not just a physical aspect or not just tangible or intangible, that both need to be looked at in a way that how it is affecting the occupants, And remember, we also talk about that Feng Shui is not fixed, it's constantly moving. So may seem to be okay now, but it may not seem to be okay later on, and vice versa. But I think most importantly is just not having that fear of the space. One of the worst Feng Shui I encountered, it was last year. And then this lady's dad came to me and asked me to do Feng Shui at his house. And I found out more story about this lady because at the time when I did Feng Shui at this lady's house, she's in her 30s, single mom,
Wow.
extremely courageous, okay? But her house was the least desirable Feng Shui I have ever seen in my life.
Wow.
But she spent a lot of money buying this house already.
Yeah.
Okay. And my suggestion to her at the time was she could either rent it out or, because it would be hard for her to really try to adjust the feng shui. She asked me if there's a way to adjust it. I said, yeah, of course, there's going to be a way, but the adjustment may not be fully stop the negativity that affecting her living environment,
Yeah.
Guess what? She still lived there, and she took all my suggestion of how to make the implementation of feng shui, because she doesn't believe that she's doomed in the house. I mean, she doesn't believe that her house is doomed. Okay, she'd rather take my adjustment, to kind of like to test it out. Yeah, and I have a lot of I have a lot of respect for that. To me, she's really courageous.
Yeah. And if you don't mind, I'm going to share the story about when you arrived and you were asking me. So right now it's 2024. You were asking me how the house was for us in 2023, and I was, how was the year? And I told you good, and then you kept asking, and I was like, do you mean in my business? Like, what are you asking about? Yes, in 2023, I had, what did I have? My shoulder replaced. And then you said, well, no, how about your husband? And I said to you, oh, my husband had a horrible year. He had this medical problem, that medical problem, this, and you said to me, yes, because the house really didn't support his energies in 2023. And I thought, like it was also refreshing for you to tell me, hey, that's not going to happen again for another, I think you said 12 years, that the cycle. And it also, I mean, I know some people, when they hear me say that, they think oh, that can't be, but it is true. The house didn't support him. He had one issue. Every time we thought this one health problem was finished, a new one began. And it didn't really stop until this year, where everything, knock on wood, has come back together. So yeah, it's just amazing how you're able to help people, Sergio, in a way that you can help them each year by changing. And the changes you asked me to do were easy. You know what I mean? I know you said that my house was pretty good before we even started, but I love the fact that you're able to make it something that somebody can implement without tearing down a house,
Yes. Yeah. I mean, there are some scenarios that certain requirement need structural change. Okay. But at the same time, if it doesn't need it, I personally don't want to go to the trouble alter my house just for, that's not necessary. And when you talk about your husband's example, right?
Right.
He could probably minimize the scale of it. That's why I was saying earlier, having awareness. Okay.
Yes.
We may not be able to fully avoid it, but we are able to minimize it. Yeah. To minimize the impact of certain things. And to me, that's really gratifying in terms of practicing feng shui. How this is another example. This example, I always tell my client that I have this client who is a pop star, and before we met, actually we've been working together for the past 7 years already. Okay, but before that, she had other well-known feng shui master from Asia she was working with for several years. And she has several of them, okay? And then I remember when she asked me to go to her house for the first time, and she told me the reason why she hired me, because she feel her previous master's technique doesn't work for her anymore, even though he was really, really popular, okay?
Yeah.
Well respected.
Yeah.
So I went to her house, and the first thing I saw was the window that looked out to the beautiful canyon. They were all blocked off.
Oh, wow.
They're all blocked off with privacy film, because she had a similar issue like your house.
Yeah.
I asked her, why did she do that? And she was, because her other master told her to do it. Otherwise, she would lose energy out of the window. And I was like, oh my gosh, she has such a beautiful, beautiful canyon view. Okay. And same thing, she has enough distance in between the house, and she could actually utilize other techniques to avoid those type of situation instead of just blocking off the windows. And actually, I told her that it's the window was the least
of the problems,
because she had actually some other issue at her house. And I told her that, and then she didn't really take my suggestion at the time until 2 years later, pandemic started, and there's nothing for anyone to do. So she decided to take my suggestion to fix the area that need to be fixed. And it was just this really practical, minor area, okay?
Yeah.
And after she fixed the area, 6 months later, she was like, "Oh my God, Sergio, this is crazy." Okay, she's been getting new contract. She has new album coming out. She's gonna go on a tour, but because she really feel after she fixed the area I told her that she needed to fix, even though she didn't believe that was the main issue. After she fixed it, she feel her entire luck changed.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, that's how it is. It's not the most obvious thing, but when it's there, it's just some minor thing. When it's fixed, then, our luck could change just because something that was really not working in the house. So,
yeah, that's amazing. I really enjoy you, Sergio. I love what you're able to do and how you're able to help people. And I just want to drive home the fact that sometimes maybe a child in the house is energy sensitive and the parents don't quite understand. I have a client whose parents don't quite understand why this woman feels the way she does. And I said, just start giving a voice. And so if you have someone in your life that is energy sensitive, I would suggest you invite them to listen to this show and for them to reach out to Sergio, whose information is here in the show notes, because it can really, just like taking your vitamins or eating good food or going for a walk, spending time exercising or a hike, having your home support you in a way, especially if you're like my husband and I, where we both work from home. But even if you're at an office and you're just sleeping in your home, you're probably there 8 to 10 hours a day. And that is time that you should feel rejuvenated, and it should support you. And I like, obviously, each room to support me in a different way, shape and form, as far as, especially when I'm entertaining. But it's such a beautiful practice, Feng Shui, and really, Sergio, you bring it to life in a way that's so meaningful, practical, and authentic. And for that, I say kudos and thank you. And
thank you.
Really, yes, it's been a pleasure to get to talk to you again. For those of you you don't know, but Sergio and I had filmed once before, and I had horrific Wi-Fi issues. And so I want to say thank you for take 2. And I just got a notification, Sergio, that it is time for us to vacate our home.
Oh no, okay.
Due to the fires, so I am going to let you go, and I am going to say, as much as I see the smoke outside my window, I hope that my home is standing when I do come back, because you have brought the energy to the level that supports us in a magnificent way. And thank you, Sergio, for who you are, being finding your path and sharing your knowledge, your wisdom in such a way to help each of us live every year our best version of ourselves.
Thank you, Gina. Very good to see you today. And be safe. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And so I'm going to invite you to please look at the show notes. All of Sergio's information on how to connect it with him will be there. I'd love for you, if you're listening in on Apple, to leave us a review. Let us know what you want to hear more of. And if you are at a crossroads where something has shifted in your life and you're ready to step into your most magnificent future, please connect with me. Also want to just let you know, in the show notes, you'll see the link to get notified as my book, Exquisitely Aligned, will be available shortly. Till next time, be exquisite. Sergio, thank you again for everything. Big kisses and hugs. Have a great day. And I'm glad you're in LA County away from here. Take care. Bye-bye.